Your project name.
Quite Peckish.
Yeah. How this ties in very, very nicely with Gemstone Detective. And basically, I came up with Peckish being there are people that are hungry for gemstones, hungry to fulfill their passion.
One of my guests said, "Be hungry to know,"
Yes.
and this is my tagline.
And it's about curiosity. Being hungry to know is all about the curiosity. So again, being a gemstone detective is all about. It's all about curiosity and discovery.
Yeah.
So I'm always saying to people, you need to be curious. So sometimes I say, stay curious.
Today's food comes from Nero Artisan Pizza, a new franchise which now delivers in Barnsley and Doncaster. They also offer franchise opportunities and not only pizza. This is not a pizza, it's an antipasta, which is quite great. I had before on my podcast. People love it. Now I want to introduce my guest. I hope I pronounce the name properly.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Rix. Think about it, sound like a rapper name. American rapper.
It's a bit of a stage name, isn't it?
Yeah,
Being
yeah,
told
yeah,
it's
yeah.
got a nice ring to it. Kim
Yes.
Rix, it flows.
Yeah, Kim Rix.
My showbiz name.
Okay, yeah. When I met you and I heard about your what you are doing, I was, wow, this is something interesting. And even at the event where we've been on big business events, you asked me, because basically that was an assignment. You asked me if I'm interested to travel for finding gemstones. And I said, I never think about it, but I think I would love it to do it. The best question is, how do you see yourself?
Now I am confident. I'm comfortable in my body. I have a vision. I know where I'm going. I know what I want. I know what I like. And I like this version of myself.
Yeah.
I didn't always used to be this way.
Yeah, I know how it is. But when you found out this version of yourself?
I think really it's only been over the last 7 or 8 years. In fact, since I started Gemstone Detective, which took me all around the world traveling, sometimes solo travel. Most of the time was solo travel. And that gives you an awful lot of confidence.
Yes. I mean, basically it's the same like in my case. When I started the podcast, I changed myself. And I see the things different. I think it's the same with you. Are you a diamond?
Yeah. How did you guess? Yes, I love the adventure. I love excitement.
Because I'm the same. I'm diamond too.
Right. Okay.
It's exactly how I step in the ring for charity, in the boxing ring, and now I'm doing a different challenge. I'm raising money for Barnsley Hospice, and I said every 150 pounds raised, I'm going to spend one day picking litter.
Right.
And I think it's because I'm a diamond and I like to do stuff.
Yes.
Well,
you're possibly also a heart then.
I think
because you like helping people, and
I think I got a bit there, but
because you care.
Yeah.
You care about people, and you want to help.
Yeah.
So you must be part diamond, part heart.
Yeah. I didn't think about the heart part, but I just took, I did that test for seeing what social style I am, and it was diamond, and I think it was heart, the second one. But I took the Only the first part, which was about
The diamond.
the adventure and fun part.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I am. Yeah, good pointed out because I didn't realize that. Really, I really realized that. But I want to help, but yeah, I didn't realize I'm hard to.
Okay.
And what is your second?
I think. Well, I keep on getting different things. I've done that test now twice.
Okay.
So, and both times I'm a diamond. But then this first time, I think I was also part club, and the second time I was part heart.
Okay.
But I think it may be depending on what mood you're in at the time of taking the,
Possible.
answering the questions.
Possible.
But it is also possible for people to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, part diamond, part club, part spade, part. It's perfectly possible that.
That's why I didn't look at the second part because it gave me spade.
Okay.
I want results.
You want result? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or maybe I was part spade, not club, because I like results as well, and I'm quite competitive.
Okay.
I like my results fast. I like getting to the point. Don't like wasting time. And I like to win.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm just up for the adventure. I'm up for living life to the full. Having fun, doing as much as having as much adventure and fun as possible.
Yes, but
That's me.
before this, did you feel like, this is not for me, or like someone tell you that's not for you?
Well, I wasn't a very academic child. I was, but I was musical.
Okay.
But I wasn't a natural musician. I had to work at it. I played the piano, played the violin. So I did my grade 5 theory, and I think I did grade 8 piano and grade 7 violin, or the other way around, 8 violin, 7 piano, I can't remember. But I had to work at that. And as a result, I was very much into classical music.
Okay. Nice.
But I didn't really know what I couldn't really relate to my peers at school who were all into the pop music, watching Top of the Pops. And so I felt completely out of those kind of conversations. So I don't think I was always confident, or I was very self-conscious, to be honest, about myself. And a bit not quite so adventurous, bit nervous about taking risks. But now now I know that nothing changes if you don't take risks. If you want to move your life forward,
Yeah.
something's got to change, and that means you've got to make choices and take risks.
True.
So.
Yeah, basically, if you stay, don't do nothing, and just envy people who have success, nothing will happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in that position to envy people because their life is better than yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically taking actions. That's the best thing what you can do, even if you fail. But how my opponent from the boxing match said, you never know if you are good at something if you don't try it.
That's true.
And you may fail, but you will know next time what to do to not fail again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Or even maybe you are going to fail again.
Well, you learn from experience.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, how many entrepreneurs out there who have tried so many different things, and you do something 100 times, and then the 101st time or something, all of a sudden it works.
Oh yeah.
Or you find that point where you feel comfortable. Or you find something that you're good at. So it's a case of trying lots of things. I mean, I grew up and everyone said I was very flighty because, well, I mean, I'm on my third business now.
Okay.
And so people kind of comment that, that I can't commit to something, or that I'm too sort of, I never have a job for more than a couple of years and then I change. And it's not like that. It's about, people aren't the same through their whole life. They change, they grow. Your personality develops, and your skill base develops, and your knowledge develops, and and you accumulate those experiences, and from those experiences you find new paths. And that's exactly what's happened to me. So it's not that I can't commit to anything, it's not that I'm particularly flighty, it's just that I've found new things that interest me, and new passions and new paths. And I'm and again, and I firmly believe in creating your own destiny, carving out your path. So I don't listen to those people anymore. I don't need those people anymore, who say to me, oh, you can't commit or whatever. I mean, I don't listen to that anymore.
It's not about commitment here. It's maybe you will like something else, not that. It's like I start to do videos a few years back, before my daughter was born. And I was trying to do, gameplay videos. That wasn't for me, because I was enjoying the game and not to do the talking. And basically, they want to see your reaction, what you are saying about that. And I observed that's not for me. And after that, I start with vlogs. It was nice, interesting, because it put my brain to work, but still, it wasn't for me. I'm still doing vlogs, but that's between podcasts.
No.
And the podcast, I don't know why I resonate more, because here I learn more. And basically, with each episode, I become better. Like
More confident.
yeah. That's the best one, because I was shy. I mean, I was shy. When I supposed to talk about something, I have that mental blockage. I didn't know what to say. I've been in Sheffield for another big business event about LinkedIn, and Damien asked me how is in the gold circle. In the first minute, I said so few words. I didn't remember what, but I was struggling a bit. But I was getting comfortable, and after that, they didn't stop me because it kept coming. I wasn't nervous. That's the thing. I wasn't nervous about, but I didn't know exactly what to tell about, and I dig a bit in my feelings, how I felt in the gold circle, and basically how I'm feeling, and being there and talking, even like someone to ask my opinion. I was, wow, yeah, I never experienced something like that, maybe. And I felt amazing. My brother-in-law, because I was with him, he was impressed. I think in that moment, he was in the lowest part of his life.
Right.
And I try to motivate him, and that's why I bring to one of the big business events. And I told him about everything, about the mindset, and how he limited himself, because basically it's what he was doing. It wasn't anyone like the parents to be there to say, that's not for you.
So are you saying he was inspired by you?
Yeah. And he said, keep going. He told me, keep going with what you're doing, because it's good. And I hope I will find the same thing, what is going to drive me, like you. And say, yeah, but you need to try.
Yes.
You need to try, because you don't know what you really like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, it wasn't until Gemstone Detective, it wasn't until my experience in Egypt, of actually buying that red gemstone, which I was told was a natural Burmese ruby. It wasn't until I discovered that it was glass that I actually got my purpose. That whole experience gave me my purpose.
Yeah.
to then go away, not just to study at the GIA and then qualify as gemologist, but after that, I realized that my purpose was then to help others in my shoes, or my shoes at that time, to avoid buying something that's, not what it seems to be. And in my class, like I say, I thought I was buying a genuine Burmese ruby, but it was just glass. But that whole experience is, as I say, it gave me that purpose. And so that carved out a new path for me. In fact, at the time, I had a really good photography business, doing portraits, weddings, events. But I found something that actually I was more passionate about. So, I mean, I still love my photography, don't get me wrong. I'll always be a photographer in my heart.
Yeah.
I still go to events, and I still sort of, I'm still, in my head, I'm still a photographer when I'm at that event, even if I'm not. But I've actually found now something that I'm more passionate about and something that I believe the world actually really needs. So...
It's interesting because you wrote 8 books about this.
That's right. Yes, they're like travel guides. They're a bit like the Lonely Planet, but for gemstone enthusiasts.
What exactly we find in the books? What contain that guide?
The books it's like a marriage of beginner's gemology and a travel guide. Like I say, it's a bit like a Lonely Planet for gemstone enthusiasts. So the first half of the books are about gemstones and beginner's gemology. And then the second half of the book is more the travel guide, but also giving tips and advice on what to look for about the gemstones, what to look for, the questions to ask.
Okay.
And then the travel side of things. So we're talking about gemstone museums, where to go, the local museums, where to go, the goldsmiths, the jewelers. These are everywhere you can actually go and look at gemstones, including I've been into some amazing churches where the speaker stand. In Australia, there was the speaker stand that was just beautifully, it was so ornamental, it was completely smothered in opals. And there was another place in Burma, in Mogok, that I went to, a religious building, similar to a church, but not a church. But it was completely adorned, in gemstones. Oh, it was just stunning. So, in fact, in Thailand, you can go down to Chantaburi, and in the cathedral there's Mother of Mary, the statue.
Okay.
And she's completely made. Her clothing is, she's completely robed in sapphires and emeralds, and those gemstones were actually given by the community. But so those kind of, not tourist attractions, but features that would be of interest to gemstone enthusiasts, all those are in each book relative to each location. So each book is country specific, is specific to the gemstones found in that location. So if you want to go gem hunting for opals and sapphires, you might actually go to Australia. If you want, likewise, if you want to go, gem hunting for sapphires, you might go to Thailand or even Sri Lanka. Or if you want to go and have a look at rubies.
Okay.
Or, rubies, you might go to Burma, or you might actually go as well to Thailand, for instance. So each book covers, the gemstone origins, locations where you actually find those gemstones.
But they're easy to find?
Well, I'm talking about not necessarily the mines, although I include some of the mines in the books where you are allowed to visit, but a lot of the mines are not tourist attractions. They're not, they're not really there. You can't visit them unless you've actually got permission. But as I say, you can go, if you go to a goldsmith or a particular jeweler's, you'll find a multitude of stones. If you go, some of the countries, you go to their gemstone markets. Okay, so the gemstones that are found in that country will be at the gemstone market. But also, a lot of gemstones come from other countries, particularly gemstones are imported from Thailand, into that country, and you'll find that the gem markets have so many different gemstones available. You're spoilt for choice.
Yeah, I have a question
Please.
from a member of Golden Circle.
Okay.
George Kurici asked, are people more into gemstones or gold these days?
Gemstones, for sure.
Why?
I think people are really into the story of gemstones. And people are into... Today, it's all about ethics, ethical gemstones, ethical mining, and transparency as well. So, and there are so many beautiful gemstones out there.
True.
I think whereas gold, price of gold, I mean, gold is at an all-time high. And gold is a very good investment as well as gemstones. Gemstones can be a great investment. They increase in value year on year, yeah.
Okay, I didn't
They
know
have
that.
done for the last 20 years. But it's an interesting question. But I think the answer is definitely gemstones. People, because there's so many different parts of one's life that a gemstone can be related to. Hence the story. You know, people are after the story of the gemstone, and you've got your birthstones. So,
Okay.
you know, so gemstones are connected to people's birthdays. Gemstones are connected to people's anniversaries, wedding anniversaries. There are gemstones related to specific wedding anniversaries. So, you know, so they make beautiful gifts as well. Gemstones are just perfect for gifts. And or you know, or treating somebody to something special, even for yourself, but you know, celebrating a special occasion with a gemstone. It's you know, so that's why I think people are more interested in gemstones as opposed to gold.
Now I want to invite you to eat, but in the same time, I want to ask more about gemstones.
Please.
But we can eat in the same time.
Thank you. Wonderful. You've been
Yes.
smells so good. You've been making me sit here for
because
so long
I was
now.
supposed to wait until they made this because it's quite fresh. I've been late to Nero Pizza and they wanted like to be fresh.
Right.
This is antipasta.
Wonderful.
And they put the moldy cheese,
Blue cheese.
the blue cheese, moldy.
It's good mold. Very good mold. It's lovely.
Oh, I really like the cheese. The taste.
It's very creamy, but I don't think it's as soft as gorgonzola. But it's still beautifully soft.
Yeah, man, it got a special flavor.
Melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
And you've got some wonderful meats here as well. So, big piece. Sorry, it doesn't come in any smaller.
It's okay, you can eat all. I don't know from where they're buying the ingredients, but they are very tasty. And I love it. I think this is a bit spicy, if I remember.
It's beautiful.
You can see the black pepper.
I love spice. I'm all for spicy food.
I want to ask you about how the gemstones are made. created? Because I know the diamond is because of the earth pressure in the. To tell you a story, I told my wife when I'm dying, I want to be burned and my ashes to make a diamond.
Okay.
Because it's a cheap service. It's £2,000. I don't know how much is to be cremated, to be burned. How much cost that? But £2,000 for make myself a diamond. Depends how many carats you want, but
Okay, that's interesting.
yeah. So it is cheaper than to have a funeral.
I don't know. I have no idea how much it costs to.
Because I heard people complaining about how expensive it is to have a funeral. I said, you can do this. It's way cheaper.
Okay. I don't know about even the price of. That seems expensive to me. £2,000 to have.
£2,000 to make a diamond. I think the funeral is more expensive, and even because I'm Romanian, I'm supposed to, let's say, to not be put in a hole here. It's going to be more expensive to send me back in my country, and it's way cheaper to transport me as a diamond.
Well, it's a beautiful idea, a beautiful keepsake for your wife.
Yeah, she said, but yeah, but when is the end of the world, and basically how is saying in the Bible, you rise up, you need the body. Yeah, but I will be a diamond, not a eating corpse.
Interesting topic of conversation.
That's why I was thinking, because I know how a diamond is made, how a gemstones like a ruby is made, because ruby it's used on lasers, or different gemstones they are using to make lasers. I know what is on laser are artificial, but the idea to use them it come from the natural gemstone.
So it's about the geological environment that the gemstones grow in, and there are minerals, other minerals involved. So if there's iron in the environment, it's the iron that gives the ruby its red color.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
If for tanzanite, the blue from the tanzanite is caused by vanadium.
Okay.
So all the gemstones, the different colors are due to different minerals in their environment. And they're, impurities.
I don't know exactly what gives the color, or what made the ruby special. Because ruby, it's classified as not expensive, like precious.
It is, definitely.
But why?
Rubies are from a family. The family is called corundum. And it is the second hardest mineral on Earth, next to diamond. So on what we call the Mohs hardness scale, which goes from 1 to 10, diamond is at 10. Okay? Corundum for ruby and sapphire, because they're made from the same family,
Okay.
corundum, they're on the hardness scale at 9. So they're much more versatile for using in jewelry, but it's also due to what makes them valuable is their rarity. There's a couple of things that make them valuable. So their rarity, their color, and the scarcity. So, well, we've talked about rarity being scarcity, and that makes them very valuable. So in gemology, we learn that there are the 4 C's that we talk about in terms of gemstones. So we have the cut, the clarity, the carat weight, and the color. Okay, so those are the 4 C's that actually contribute to a gemstone's value.
Well, how you cut?
Again, the cut
stone.
is very, very important, and there are some fantastic lapidary artists out there who are very, very, very skilled at cutting the gemstones to bring out the beauty of the gemstone.
Okay.
See, now, on the other hand, there's a lot of people out there who will actually cut for weight because, again, the bigger the gemstone, the more people can charge. Yes, the more value. But it's not necessarily. You may want to keep the gemstone as big as possible so that you can charge more. But that doesn't mean to say that the quality is as good as a gemstone that is actually cut for its beauty.
But what carats mean on?
So carats is the weight. It's the carats are how we measure the size. So,
Okay.
yeah, carat is how we measure the weight, the weight of the gemstone. 1 carat, 2 carat, 3 carats, half a carat. And again, a gemstone's value will increase as the gemstone gets larger. It doesn't consistently increase in value every half carat, for example. The value of a gemstone at 1 carat will not necessarily be 5 times as much for a 5 carat gemstone. It will be significantly higher because it's very rare in most cases to get a gemstone that could be bigger than a carat or 2 carats. Some gemstones are very, very rare when they're over a carat or even at 2 carats. And then the larger the gemstone, it's just so rare. And then the rarer, the larger, and when they get into large gemstones that have perfect clarity, it's almost unheard of. And obviously that's why that's why you find gemstones for sale at £50,000, £100,000,
yeah.
£500,000, a few million pounds. You know, that's because that's in the realm of just, miracles.
They're supposed to call like that, miracles. Thank you for answering this. Now I think we are going to hit on pause because we want to finish eating without interruption, and we are going to talk after. Now we are back. We finished eating. It was delicious antipasta. We talk about gemstones. Can you tell me how people can see what you are doing and where?
Absolutely. I have created a website called Gemstone Detective, and that's at gemstonedetective.com. You'll also find me across social media. So I post on Instagram, I post on Facebook. Both of those are under Gemstone Detective. I post on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you add me lately on LinkedIn.
Yes. I'm on X, formerly Twitter. So that's under Gemstone Detective, I think. And if it's not, it'll be under Kim Rix.
Yeah.
And I'm on YouTube as well. I have a YouTube channel. That's Gemstone Detective.
Now, I want to ask you, you've been nominated a top gift service?
Nominated, but I haven't won. I mean, it
yeah,
hasn't
but
been announced yet.
Still.
Nominated.
Okay.
They haven't given me the results yet, but I have been nominated for the gift service, best gift.
Okay.
For the concierge, for the Gemstone concierge service that I have, because it's really about giving gemstones as gifts for possibly 21st birthdays, wedding anniversaries, any kind of birthday, any wedding anniversary, special occasions. It might be, engagement. It's just really about
That's a unique.
Finding the right gemstone for your special occasion that's right for you.
I mean, it's quite unique. How I said, even I did some research on the Google, and I found your name in different places on, I think, newspapers, and you've been in a podcast.
Yes, I've recently been in a podcast called She Who Dares Wins.
And how did you feel that podcast?
That was videoed, so it's on YouTube, and it was snippets were put on Instagram.
And how do you feel when you've been interviewed?
Well, I feel very relaxed right now.
Yeah.
After a lovely lunch, I was quite nervous actually when I did that podcast for the first time with Michelle of who She Who Dares Wins, because, well, A, it was my first time, and B, sort of moments before we were about to start, she said to me, "You do realise that this time last week the Chancellor of the Exchequer was sitting in that chair, you know, the last person to sit in that chair." So, of course, you know, my mind went spinning then, and my anxiety level shot up. So, but no, it was great. Michelle was great, and I really, really enjoyed doing the podcast. And now here I am here with you. So, but yeah, I feel very relaxed this time. Thank you.
Who was before you on the podcast which I have in Romanian? She owns two practitioners, Vets for Pets, in Manchester.
Right.
Her story is quite interesting. I will have her on the quite Peckish after she launched her book.
Right.
Because she said that she want to come on the English podcast as well. She got divorced after she had a child. And she was thinking, what I should do now to take advantage of the government benefits, or to do something which I really want. Because if I took the benefits, I will be comfortable and do nothing. And now her business it's worth £1 million.
Wow. Because she followed her passion.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the business, even what she told me, she's success coach.
Right.
I met her in one networking session in Manchester, and I heard already the story, but I wanted her in my podcast to tell, basically to find out more. I found her inspiring when she didn't have nothing, basically, and instead to cry for help, she told me she didn't have £10 in the pocket.
Right.
But she wrote a check. You know, it was the secret, the book.
Oh, yes.
She wrote a check. She will have 1 million until 40. And she said it's 960, but
Yeah.
still there.
I think that's a really strong motivator when you come from nothing, you know, or rather, you know, you come from poverty, and that's a really strong motivator. That's not my story. I mean, I can't say that I've come from poverty. I was very privileged as a child, and but I mean, I've basically funded though my own business. You know? So I've been paying, you know, before I became a gemologist and before I started Gemstone Detective, I was really, and you know, in the days that I was a photographer, I was actually paying for my business, you know, to be able to keep my business going. And so, you know, because photography was my passion. So at that time, so I was, you know, so, but I still have hopes and dreams of really, you know, getting up there into the higher tax bracket.
Yeah.
I'm branching out into new areas, new services for Gemstone Detective.
Okay. Do you have any connection with jewelry designers or basically to help them to find gemstones for their.
Yes, well, that can be part of my gemstone. That's part of my gemstone concierge service, where I can
Okay.
either, go and source gemstones for jewelers, or sourcing them really for the general public, for the consumer, because, like I say, I mean, I'm there as to hold the consumer's hand, to hold the buyer's hand, and lead them through what's I mean, it can be a really tricky. It's quite a complex industry, is the gemstone industry, the gemstone and jewelry industry. It's very, it can be very tricky, because it's quite a secretive industry as well.
Yeah.
But so through the gemstone concierge service, I'm able to hold people's hands and guide them, and either be there with them at the time to help them choose, and use my experience and my knowledge to actually determine, is that gemstone worth it, worth paying the price that's being asked, or so I don't know. So at the end of the day, I'm giving somebody the confidence and the security that they need to be able to make that purchase.
Yeah.
So that's the Gemstone concierge service. And as I say, I've also branched out into a coaching service that I can also help those people like myself who had gemstones in the blood, and really kind of wanted to, if you want to do more with that and turn your passion into profit, into a business,
That's a good one.
that's what I'm also doing at the moment. I've got clients who I'm leading, guiding them, helping them find clarity, helping them determine whether their idea is viable, and also giving them the systems. It's about the process. It's about leading them through, giving them the steps to take in order to turn their passion into profit, into a business.
That's a good one.
Because that's what people need, I believe. People need that process. They need that hand holding. And unfortunately, I didn't have that. So I've learned by making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, basically you are giving 6 years of experience.
More than that. Much more than that.
But
yes, I'm speeding up their journey.
Yeah, exactly.
You
You
know
speed
why?
up the journey.
Exactly. I'm speeding up their journey. I'm giving them the exact steps to follow to produce, to get the result that they desire.
That's a good one. What keeps you moving forward? Because you said I saw your origin story on your website, and you say there you've been on the crossroads, almost at 50.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 47, if I'm not mistaken. But what happened then when you've been on crossroad?
At that time I was 47, so the whole big 50 was
Okay.
I was feeling the pressure to actually accomplish something in life, to create a legacy. And that was the time that I had that experience in Egypt, where I ended up buying a glass gemstone instead of that natural Burmese ruby that I was told it would be. And that's what made me actually go to the GIA. I studied at the GIA, qualified as gemologist. And then the crossroads was really, I had actually put my photography business on hold to do that course at the GIA. And the crossroads was really, which direction should I go now? Do I go back to my photography business, or do I do something different with this newfound knowledge and my experience that I could share with the world? And actually, so yeah, I think that was the crossroad where I decided that I really just needed to take stock and create a new path and create a legacy and really do all those things in life that you really want to do, you know. And like I say, my deadline was 50, you know. I mean, one thing I've learned is that tomorrow's not promised to anybody.
True.
So it's about living for today, living in the moment. Not so much in the too distant future. You know, okay, I was 47, maybe 48, and I was already thinking about 50. But it really kind of made me realize that actually you need to sort of, you know, don't delay doing those things that you really, really, really want to do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to travel more. You know, I really, really wanted to travel more. And I wanted to see more of the world. I wanted to, I just wanted to do something with my life that would be meaningful. And then something that I could do that give back to the community, you know, to help other people. So that was the crossroads that I was on. Unfortunately, I went to this conference. I went to a seminar. It was an all-day seminar. It was a wealth seminar, and at the very, very end of the day, so that all through the day they'd been given wonderful ideas on how to create passive income and how to, you know, what you can do as a career, you know, hundreds of ways. And then right at the end of the day, there was a speaker came on and told and regaled his story about how he had created ebooks, and this was in the very early days of ebooks. So this was way back 20 years ago. He was one of the first people to start the ebooks. But he talked about that, but he also talked about how he'd taken a lot of information from the computer. But equally, as he progressed through the ebooks, he did an ebook on different careers, how to become a doctor, how to become a fire person, and he went and he interviewed his friends and took those answers and created a career ebook. But one of the ebooks that he had made, the first one I think that really inspired me, was about how to buy a property in a different country. And what he had done is he had talked about how he'd got as much information as possible from the internet, but he had also got a friend who'd flown over to Budapest, I think it was, and bought a property, put the deposit down, bought a property, but then right at the end he even confessed. He said, you know, to this day I've never actually been there and bought the property. But the clever thing that really inspired me was that once he'd got this formula on how to buy a property in a different country, he actually wrote an ebook for all these different countries, for 52 countries. 52 different countries. But he never left his seat. He never left his chair. He was always at the computer. But this gave me the idea, like I say, I wanted to do more traveling in life. You know, I want to see the world.
Same.
Yeah. But he said, what experience have you got? What can you share with the world? What experience can you write about? What knowledge, what skills do you have that you can bring that together to write an ebook? And this is really what inspired me. So I thought, okay, so I've just qualified as a gemologist. Remember, this was the crossroads. I was thinking, do I carry on my photography or what do I do, you know? So I had just qualified as a gemologist. I really wanted to travel the world. And I loved my photography. I still wanted to do my photography. So it was like, how do I do that? So I came up with the idea of creating this book series. Very similar. He had a template, you know, and once you've decided what you actually want, what the recipe is, it's like cooking.
Yeah.
You know, you create the recipe. And once you create that recipe, you do it over and over and over again. Yeah? And that's exactly what it was. So once I'd done the first book, which was Sri Lanka, I actually duplicated that methodology to the next book, which was Thailand. So I went out to Thailand and I followed the recipe to get all the knowledge and the insights and the questions answered and everything that I needed for that book. And then I followed it through to the next book and the next book and the next book. So I was completely inspired, and that's how Gemstone Detective was born, really. I actually left that day, that conference, knowing exactly what I was going to do. It gave me my purpose. Well, the experience of in Egypt gave me my purpose. It was that experience that gave me my purpose. But it was that going to that seminar, listening to that speaker, and learning from his experience of creating books that inspired my journey to create my book series called Gemstone Detective.
That sounds very interesting. The thing is, what I'm thinking, the first book was the hardest, and after that you've been just replicated.
Well, actually, to be honest, the books that followed, I had more ideas.
Okay.
So I added to them. So the first book, the Sri Lanka book, is actually quite small, 97 pages. You know, it's like a pocket book. It fits in your pockets that you can travel with it around the world. It's a pocket book, you know, travel with it in your pocket. But then Thailand grew to 126 pages. And then by the time I got up to Australia and then Great Britain and the USA, I think I was almost at 197 pages or something, or 192 pages. I can't
Proper
remember.
book.
Yes. So, but they were still small enough to put in your pocket.
Okay.
They were always going to be pocket travel guides that are light enough to carry with you, so that you've got the knowledge in your hands when you need it.
I want to ask about your history. When you been a child, what did you think you want to be when you grow as adult?
Well, there were two things. I think at one time I wanted to be an opera singer because I had quite a strong voice, and I actually had vocal training. As well as playing the piano and playing the violin, I also had voice lessons. So I did my grade 8 singing. So I always used to go around the house warbling at the top of my voice, trying to break the crystal glasses, you know, and then I actually joined a choir as well, and I sang at the Royal Festival Hall, on the stage at the Royal Festival Hall. And even then, it was a case I was, you know, I had the opportunity to actually sort of, at the top of my voice, you know, is to see whether I could actually reach the back of the Royal Festival Hall. You know,
Okay.
so, but anyway, my voice isn't as strong anymore because I haven't done any of that for like the last 30, 40 years now. So, the other thing that I wanted to be was a television presenter.
Wow.
I actually, and this is possibly where Gemstone Detective comes in, because I actually wanted to be the presenter on Crime Watch, for Crime Watch UK. And this is maybe where Gemstone Detective is related, because I believe in truth and justice, and I believe in integrity and authenticity. So for me, you know, Gemstone Detective is all about discovering the truth of something, you know, discovering the story, discovering the truth, making sure that something is authentic and it's not fake, you know? So it's a little bit, and I think, you know, sometimes when I think I used to, you know, I'm sure that's related, where Crime Watch, wanting to be the presenter on Crime Watch, and now I'm a Gemstone Detective.
Interesting. I remember when I was in school, I was fascinated about history, and I loved the idea of radio. And I found out a guy who wanted to do a show on the radio, and where he wanted to put me as presenter, like a student. But I was so unlucky with that. He died, and I was in a shock. It was very sad for me, and nothing happened in that department, like to be on radio or something. But years later, I was a graphic designer to a newspaper. I was still there in the media business.
Right. A lot of my background actually is media as well, you realise. I actually worked at the BBC.
Oh,
And I actually had dreams because I wanted to be a television presenter. I thought this, to take a step towards that would be being a camera operator. And I think this is where my love of cameras and being a photographer comes in.
Okay, yeah.
So I actually applied to be a camera operator. But again, this was 30 years ago, 35 years ago. This was in the days where female camera operators were unheard of. Okay?
True, I never see one.
There are female camera operators now,
Yeah.
but 35 years ago, when I applied, well, I think the idea that I'm so petite, under 5 foot tall, so I'm not exactly muscle woman.
Yeah, these days with the technology, you don't need, because you have cranes and everything, gears. Even if you need to hold the camera up, you have your screen here.
Right.
There are a lot of advantages now. But I think before I was thinking to be behind camera as well, not in the front of the camera, because I wasn't able to speak to the camera.
Right.
I was still shy, and how you said, women was in the front of camera and men behind. Those dreams what you had about the singing part, and you don't want to sing anymore.
No. I don't have the power in my voice anymore.
Yeah, but it's today I come with this thought because I was listening a rap music, basically, and say we forgot how to dance when we grow old, and we forgot how to dance because when we are young we are dancing, and I found this sad because basically you are enjoying when you are dancing. And
True. But I don't know. I haven't done any music. I haven't done my violin, my piano, singing. I haven't done them for 35 years. And yes, so I'm very, 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 very rusty. To be honest, I've moved on. I have
Okay.
other passions now.
oh yeah,
My latest hobby I actually found during the pandemic,
which is
metal detecting.
okay.
So now I spend my spare time metal detecting. But, you know, the music is really history. The music is history. But I enjoy my metal detecting now.
What interesting things you found when you're doing that? I saw last week in Scarborough.
Beaches are brilliant for finding lots of jewelry. You know,
Yeah.
people drop jewelry all the time, and so that's one. That's. But there are a lot of other places. I mean, I actually dig in fields, but I only dig. I only go metal detecting as part of a bigger organised event,
Okay.
and where we have permission from the farmers to dig their fields. And yeah, I found so many things, but mostly coins. I listen out mostly for the signal for coins. In fact, there are so many other things. I mean, people find crotal bells and sort of ancient medals and axes, Saxon or Roman, Saxon and Roman age axes, and that's great. Everyone's got their own little thing that they're sort of, that floats their boat. For me, it's all. I just want to find those rare coins.
I remember when I was working on a newspaper, a few kids found in the field some Daisy coins, which is over 2,000 years old. For the old tribes in Romania.
Yeah.
Basically, it's from where the name of Dacia, the car, come from that tribe, and the government took them.
Right. Because it's treasure.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same. Not It's exactly the same here. There are rules and regulations to metal detecting. If you find more than three coins in the same hole, is considered a hoard. So if that happens, then you have to hand those over, and they get offered to the local museums. I mean, they have to go for valuation. They have to actually go for appraisal, valuation. They might get offered to a museum. If they're sold, then that'll be shared between the farmer and the finder. And there's like I say, there are lots of rules and regulations and processes to go through when you actually do find something that is deemed treasure of value.
Okay.
So, I mean, last year I found my very first gold coin, okay? And this is 2024, and I'd been actually sort of metal detecting since 2020 because it was my COVID, my lockdown hobby, I should say, yes. And then last year, so after 3 years, I actually found my first gold coin in a field in Norfolk.
I think I saw the picture.
Yeah.
You've been...
Oh my gosh, it's here. I've got it around my neck.
Okay, that's one.
This is the gold coin that I found last year. It's a half sovereign, so probably worth £250-300 now.
Ooh.
But it's 1869, so it's 156 years old. So for treasure, I think it has to be over 300 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, and it has to be valued over a certain amount as well. So I get to keep my gold coin.
Good. Happy.
But like I say, it's a great hobby. I love it. I go out 2-3 times a month now.
I'm just thinking about your reaction when you find it.
Oh, I was just so elated. They heard me 3 fields away.
Oh my God.
I was screaming and laughing and dancing. I did the gold dance, and I was screaming with sheer joy. And they heard me about 1.5 miles away, apparently. So,
What do you think?
I was so happy.
What do you think the girl, which was you when you've been young, think about you in this moment?
I don't know. I hope she. I hope she would be proud of me for living my life and just like doing what I enjoy, doing what makes me happy. Because I think that's so important. You've got to do what makes you happy.
Yeah, but what you can tell her?
What would I tell her? I would reverse that. I would say, just really go, if you're really trying to decide where to go in life, how to choose your path, how to build your future, I would say do whatever makes you happy. Pick something that you are really passionate about and really makes you feel fulfilled, and, just live every day to the fullest, really.
Yeah.
So I would tell her to have courage, be brave, and be confident, grow your confidence and your courage, and go and do what really, really makes you happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because now you are a gemstone detective.
Mm-hmm.
How was that period when you've been a personal assistant to a CEO?
Yeah, this was a long time ago, because when I got married, which was back in 2006, that's when I decided to become full-time on my business. So prior to that, I actually worked. I did contract work. I was a PA, and I was the PA to some very, very senior level people, some very senior partners at PricewaterhouseCoopers. I worked for very, very senior head of finance, the chairman at KPMG. I really, and also many other companies in maybe spanning across 10 years when I was doing contracting work. And I loved it, actually. I I had some wonderful bosses who, worked well as a team. They respected, I had full respect for them, and they had full respect for me.
That's great.
Yeah, and we worked really well as a team, and I loved taking direction from them, and I loved working in a corporate environment, because sometimes it wasn't just to them, it was also working with the team as well. But at the end of the day, what I really loved when I was at KPMG was organizing some of their corporate events. And I think this is really where I discovered my love for creating events. So after I'd done a day's work in the office, I used to go home and I launched my own business, which was a social events club. And I loved doing that. And then when I worked at Commerzbank, again, to the head of market risk, that's where I met my husband. And then after a year and a half, or I think it was a year and a half of working in the same team as him, that's when I decided to make the break and actually go full-time on my business, which was the Social Events Management Club.
You make a bold move doing that, because it's I believe it's a bit hard business to do the events.
Yes.
Because I try to do some, but for kids, and it required a lot of energy, and problems come during the events.
Yeah, we had some really, really amazing events. I had some very memorable events where I took my clients to Glyndebourne. I took my clients to Royal Ascot. So the events that I used to create there were social events, but for executives. So it was but it was done in a way that's not corporate events. It was done to very high standards. It was like similar standard to a corporate event, but it was very personal. It was much more personal. So it was for their free time, for them to network and
Okay.
I mean, if they wanted to. I mean, in fact, once or twice, I even had one or two of my members bring one of their clients along to the events, but there were social events. So as I say, we went to Royal Ascot, we went to Glyndebourne for the opera, went to art events.
Did Channel 4 notice your work?
Yes, that's right. I had a phone call from Channel 4 who invited me to be on a program that they do called Secret Millionaire. And very, very flattered. But I had to explain that I wasn't quite there yet in financial status. So, but the idea, I guess the idea resonates with so many people across the world. And also, so the idea resonated with a lot of people across the world, and the website obviously had gave the impression that it was a much bigger company, but it was just me. It was just me. And when I was actually then contacted, or I then met an angel investor from Silicon Valley, and it was called Savvy Club. It's a social events club, and it caught his eye, and he wanted to basically, help me take the business to the next level. So he said, "Okay, when can I meet your team?"
And now,
It's just me. And he was, "Well, you can't run, and you can't grow a company, and you can't, and I explained to him my aspirations to make the company sort of international and global, and to make a big brand of it. And he said, "You can't do that by yourself." So I went to find myself a team, and the rest is history. Well, long story short, 6 months later, I actually discovered that he had passed away. So he died.
Oh.
Yeah. So that sort of, it wasn't just Channel 4. It was then, the angel the angel investor from Silicon Valley. And then again, through meeting, I had a chance meeting with Duncan Bannatyne.
Yeah, I want to ask about
The
that.
very famous,
Well,
name.
Why you declined the invitation?
I will be honest, at the time, firstly, I actually didn't know who he was. Okay?
Yeah, I understand that because that happened with me.
So first of all, I didn't know who he was. Even when he said to me, "Come and have coffee," and we had coffee, and I still didn't know who he was. But when we spoke at the networking event, and he said, "How can I become a member of your club?" And I was like, and he said, "I tell you what, come and have coffee with me, and you can tell me how to become a member of the club." Okay, so I had no idea who he was at the time that I actually went and had the coffee with him. The second point, really, in answer to your question, is confidence. I didn't think I was ready for, taking my idea, my business public.
Okay.
I really didn't. And I was not comfortable with taking the risk, not comfortable with the idea of being judged, not comfortable with the idea of being rejected. The whole lot. I wasn't comfortable with it, and I didn't have the courage or the confidence that I have today.
I understand that, but how do you feel now if he's going to ask you again?
If I was approached again and I was asked to present Gemstone Detective, absolutely, 100%, I'm there. Bring it on.
Very good. Now I need to go back on the previous question. What that moment teach you about fear when you refuse and you look now? If you look now, how he was.
I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. So if I declined the invitation, it's because it wasn't my time. And like I say, I truly believe that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, quite possible.
So,
Quite possible.
But like I say, now I'm a different person. Now I'm 30 years older, and I have more confidence. I'm better at mustering up courage, and I have something that I really feel is bigger than me. Yeah, I really want to share. I really want to share Gemstone Detective with the world, and it is. It's having a cause that's bigger than yourself, and I realize that. That's what gives me the confidence, and that's what would give me the courage to actually go on stage now and talk about it. In fact, I'd shout about it.
That's a good one. What do you think about Thanos stones from Avengers? He got a lot of stones on the. I think it was a glove. I will show you the gloves.
Please.
The actually one from the movie is this one.
I want one.
I think the green one it's the time stone. I don't know which one is the mind stone, the time and space stone. No, it's the space stone. They are very powerful stones.
Yes.
You didn't see the movie? Marvel Avengers?
No.
Oh,
I haven't seen the Marvel. I thought you meant The Avengers, which was, that takes me back to my childhood.
Because basically after he got all the 5 stones, he did this and wiped half of the population from the entire universe.
Oh, wow. This makes me think about gemstones, about the 9 gems. In Sri Lanka, there's something called the Navratna, which is 9 gems. And the 9 gems are all related to, they believe, the planets. So if you don't mind me just referring to this, you've got the ruby, which is the sun.
Okay.
Yeah. The yellow sapphire is Jupiter. Pearly represents the moon. The blue sapphire is Saturn. And there's red coral, which is Mars. You've got emerald, which is Mercury. Diamond is Venus. Hessonite garnet that they use is actually Rahu, which is one of the gods. And a cat's eye is also a god. Okay, so Ketu. Now, they believe that these 9 gemstones are related to the planets and that each planet brings a different power. So in Sri Lanka, they have this ring called the Navaratna, and it's made with the 9 gemstones. Now, I have seen them come in different forms, different shapes, and embellished with diamonds. Well, diamonds is not part of the Navaratna. Square is not part of a Navaratna. And you see all kinds of different interpretations of the Navaratna ring. But the Navaratna is, it's 9 gemstones in a circle with 1 gemstone in the center. Now, there are rules associated with the Navaratna that when it's being made, the person who is making it, off the top of my head, I think they have to, first of all, they have to be vegetarian. They can't be meat eaters. Secondly, they actually have to do it on a particular day. Okay, they have to make it on a particular day, and then the central stone again has to relate to possibly the wearer's birthday or something like this. Don't quote me on this, but because I'm trying to tell you this off the top of my head. So the Navaratna ring, like I say, is it's as you say, celestial. It's got powers. People believe those powers are attributed to the planets and connected with those 9 gemstones. So again, one of the things about the actual gemstones themselves is that they have to be perfect clarity. There can't be any interferences, inclusions in the gemstones, because otherwise the power of the gemstones is directly the line between the gemstone and the planet needs to be 100% crystal.
Okay.
Yeah, to get the full power. So that's the other thing about the Navaratna, the gemstones. They're set in a particular order. The quality has to be 10 out of 10, with no inclusions. And the person that is setting them, there are rules for the person that's actually setting them,
Yeah, but when this was made?
Sorry?
When this was made, the
Navaratna?
Yeah.
Well, it's still made today.
Yeah, but
People still
when it
wear them
start?
today. I would imagine this is maybe 100 years, 200 years.
Okay.
I mean, this is a historical belief. Yes, it's a belief
Okay.
that people have had for many, many years, possibly hundreds of years.
It's interesting. Even the name.
The Navaratna.
Yeah. Now I'm with my mind in a story of Star Trek.
Yeah. Again, Star Trek was from my childhood.
Yeah. I was little. I mean, you say about the original version.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, I have seen some modern day versions, but not in the last 10, 15 years.
Oh, I watch a lot. Even with Picard.
Right.
Because they made a new series with Picard when he's old.
Okay. Right, okay. Well, maybe I'll watch the first series with Picard, but I certainly haven't watched any of that in the last 10 years.
I want to ask you what kind of advice you can give to the young generation about anything.
Okay, younger generation, if you are listening to me, do yourself a favor, switch off your mobile phone and get out there and experience the world.
Good one.
Yeah? Go and create memories. but without your mobile phone. You don't need to take photos of everything, but go out there and experience the world. It's the best kind of education that you can get. It's, it's life-changing. It's character building. You'll learn so much about yourself. And, just...
You know what I'm proud, what I did this year.
Go on.
It was quite good weather in March when I was in hiking in Peak District. You know, when you watch TV, when you see movies and they're crossing river over the tree, I did that this year. Just because it was just perfect. It was there, a big tree over the river, and I told my wife, "Do you want to cross?" I said, "No, no, no." She said, "No." I said, I always wanted to do this." And my daughter, she just called me, wait for me, wait for me. She's 6 years old. And we crossed together. And nothing bad happened.
Right.
And I'm very proud of that moment because we have the picture, both of us, because my wife, she did the picture because she didn't cross. We took the action and we didn't let the fear to overcome. At least I think few years back I was, no, I will fall in the water. And now I said, if I fall, I will get wet.
Yes. Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Yes. But nothing happened.
Yeah.
I was holding my daughter by hand, and it was nice. And it was like an achievement for me.
Right.
And if you stay in home on the phone, you don't have those feelings.
Yeah. I think it's important to have a bucket list.
Oh, yeah.
Write yourself a bucket list and start, once a month or at least once a year, cross something off your bucket list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I heard people saying, what to do at home? I'm bored. Are you bored? I don't have time to do exactly the things what I want to do.
I can't stress enough, that, and I've said it, tomorrow is not promised to anyone.
Oh, yeah.
And you really, really, go and live. Go and live. Go and live it. Go and live your dream. Go and whatever you want to do in life, go and do it. At least go and try. Take the first steps to achieve your goals and your dreams. But really, get that bucket list and start ticking them off, because really, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, you just don't know what life is going to look like.
Yeah.
So,
And after that, when you're old enough to not be able to move, say, why I didn't do that. And after that, you're apologizing to yourself because you didn't do it. Lately, I don't know what is with me. I see everything. I saw old couple. Basically, was an old couple. They took a kayak and they go in the sea and they come back after 2 hours. And I realize in my country, when you are at that age, they are waiting to die.
really?
Yeah. So, I want to be like them. To go at 70 years on the sea, to not care what happened. And I saw them coming back. And I was, wow. That's a good mentality, basically.
Yeah. It's never, ever too late
Yeah.
to start something new, start a new business, go and, discover, fulfill your dreams.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
Quite Peckish project, basically, it's about that.
Right.
Because I will show things which I experience and which I never experienced, like my boxing match. And I will do some crazy stuff in the future.
Right.
Like I will go on stage to do stand-up comedy. Even I don't know if I'm funny enough, but
Right.
I must try, even if it's for charity.
Right. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Go for it. What have you got to lose? And if you don't try, then you'll never know.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, maybe I will try again because I know what didn't go well.
It sounds like you have more confidence now as well.
Oh, yeah. I got a final question from Andy Price.
Oh,
How did the podcast go?
it's been great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really, lovely way to chat over lunch.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been great. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for coming. And it's nice to hear your story and basically what is about Gemstones.
I did actually find that your project name.
Quite Peckish.
Yeah. So I was thinking about how this ties in very, very nicely with Gemstone Detective. And basically, I came up with Peckish being hungry, yeah? So, and then I was thinking, that there are people that are hungry for gemstones, hungry to fulfill their passion.
Yeah, I understand. It's basically exactly what my wife and one of my guests said, be hungry to know.
Yes.
And this is my tagline.
And it's about curiosity. Being hungry to know is all about the curiosity. So again, to be, being a gemstone detective is all about curiosity and discovery.
Yeah.
So I'm always saying to people, you need to be curious. So sometimes I say, stay curious.
Yeah, that's good advice. Stay curious, and I think nice things can happen to you if you are curious enough to see how that works. The idea is the podcast start. I didn't know how to make £1 million, and I need to learn from people.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I need their brain to get success and teach myself through them how to get that £1 million. And that's why I come with quite package because,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit hungry.
Yeah, you're hungry to know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So thank you for coming, and I hope you like it. And thank you for watching the Quiet Peckish podcast, and stay hungry to know. Because if you are curious, you are always learning. And please let in the comment what business you have and hobbies, because they are quite nice hobbies as well. See you in the next episode.